Hello, welcome to the Morning Touch. I'm Darwin Campbell. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chaplaincy for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. You know, I want to come to you the way that we are today because I want you to think about what I'm about to speak about. It comes from the words of Jesus in Luke chapter 9, verses 57 through 62. Listen to what Jesus said. And it came to pass as they went the way, a certain man said unto them, Lord, I will follow thee wherever you go. And Jesus said, Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man hath not a place to lay his head. And another said, Follow me. And he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Jesus said, Let the dead bury the dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of God. And he said also, Lord, I will follow thee, but first let me bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. And Jesus said unto him, No man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. You know, the Morning Touch wants to encourage you to look ahead, full speed ahead. Look ahead, full speed ahead. You see, there is danger when you start looking backwards. Many people have been chopped up by their past because they chose to look back. Today, I want you to stop that habit. If you are in the habit of looking back and reminiscing about the good old days and the good old times when sin was good and sin was pleasurable, I want you to stop. I want you to stop and think about that for a moment. Sin is pleasure for a season, but there are high price to be paid, and the consequences are great and long-standing. Sin has destroyed marriages. Sin has ruined jobs and careers. Sin has caused conflict between brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, and even neighbors. Sin has even led to people even being murdered. So sin may seem pleasurable, but there is a high price to pay. So what's the word today? The word today is don't look back. Jesus said in verse 62 of Luke 9, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God. My grandmother used to say the best thing you can do is leave the past in the past. My friends, there is absolutely nothing you can do about what has happened in the past. You can't change it. You can't undo it or redo it. It is finished. It is done. Looking back would only make the situation worse. Looking back will only bring about greater pain. Jesus says, look up and look forward. He says, don't look back. You know, in Proverbs 26 and verse 11, the Bible makes it clear that looking back and returning to your folly is like a dog going back to his vomit. I know that's nasty. That's real nasty. And I've seen it because I've had dogs where they go spit something up, spit it out, walk away, and then run right back and right on back up. That's just nasty. Proverbs 26:11 says, if you look back, if you go back to where you were outside of Christ, and you start enjoying the pleasures of sin again for a season, you are like that dog that goes back to his vomit. Proverbs 26:11 says, the fool returns to his folly. I'm telling you today, don't be a fool. Don't look back. There is danger when you look back. You do damage to the kingdom of God, having called yourself Christian and child of God, only to go back like a dog to his vomit. You do damage to the image and the cause of Christ. People who knew you, all of the people you spoke to. Oh, I'm going to church. Oh, I've changed my life. Oh, Jesus is a part of me. And then you walk right back to the alcohol. You walk right back to the drugs. You walk right back to the sinful sexual desires. You get consumed. The devil just consumes you. because you don't have on the armor of God. You do damage to the church. You do damage to the kingdom of God. You do damage to the image of Christ. That's why today's message is simple. Don't look back. You know, I'm reminded of what Jesus said when he spoke about Lot's wife in the book of Luke. He said, remember Lot's wife. For those of you who are not familiar with that story, when Sodom and Gomorrah was about to be destroyed by God because of sin and the pleasures of sin, the unrepentant hearts of the people, God reached out through the angels and told Lot and his family to leave, that he was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But there was one condition. They were to go way up into the hills and the mountains, and they were told not to look back. Whatever you do, don't look back. Lot gave the instructions to his family, and they left. Now we know that God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with fire and brimstone for that sin, but there was a problem. One in Lot's family decided to look back. It was Lot's wife. She looked back, and she was turned instantly into a pillar of salt. She could not resist looking back at the city where she lived and loved and had friends and neighbors. Unbeknownst to her that they were being destroyed for being evil in the sight of God, she decided that she was going to look back, and she got turned into a pillar of salt. Therein lies 1,000, 2,000 years later, Jesus remembering her. Remember Lot's wife. Remember the devastating effects of sin. Remember the devastating effects and the deadly effects of turning your heart away from God. Remember the dangers of looking back. My friends, I can't say enough about that. There is danger in looking back. You dig deeper holes for yourself. You fall into pitfalls that are deeper than the ones you had before. You may have had a pothole, but now you've got a crater. And I've known people to walk away from God and walk away from church and deny their faith. And then 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year later, they are deeper in the pit. Matter of fact, their pits become a crater. And their lives are just wrecked and ruined. They could have prevented that. They could have stopped that from happening if only they would have looked up and pressed forward. We're told to press forward for the prize of the mark of the high calling in Jesus Christ in Philippians chapter 4. Every child of God needs to learn that verse. Press forward, look up, look forward, press forward for the prize and the promise that have been made to those who believe. Whatever you do, my friends, don't look back. It is not worth it to return to your folly. It's not worth it, like a dog returning to vomit, to go back to doing those old things. You have been chosen, and you must live up to that measure. You have accepted that gospel, that promise. You live up to that promise. Don't look back. Be the light that you're supposed to be, Matthew 5:16, and be the example that you need to be, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 12 through 16. We call on you today as we close. Don't look back. It's dangerous to look back. Stand up, be strong, be the light, and be an example of a believer in Jesus Christ. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chaplain for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. Go forth today, look up, look forward, and don't look back. Like Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. See you next time on the Morning Touch. God bless you.